now that you've seen how easy it is to form a corporation through the LLCattorney.com website and client portal, let's talk about critical compliance requirements you have to follow to maintain your liability protection. The reason you did this was to get a corporate veil, and these are non-negotiable. If you don't do these things, if you don't respect the entity, follow the rules, then the courts are not going to respect the entity either. So the whole point of forming this, number one, was the corporate veil, and you need to respect it. So you can ignore the company, set it up, and then just willy-nilly, don't treat it as a real entity separate and distinct from you. Corporate veil will be pierced. It'll be considered an alter ego of you and will be treated as if you were just acting without the business entity. So you need to maintain that proper separation. Number one, don't mix personal and business assets or expenses. If you use the company bank account to pay your personal expenses, your kids' tuition, and buy groceries, that is commingling of expenses. You have disrespected the entity and don't expect it to hold up. So all the income from the business should go into the business bank account. All the expenses of the business should go out of that same business bank account or the business credit card. Sometimes you make a mistake, right? Sometimes you, and I've got like 5 different company credit cards in my wallet, little secret here. Sometimes you pull out the wrong card. Oh, darn. I've got 2 companies that use the wrong card. It's okay, right? No cover-up. The cover-up is worse than the crime. You just make a note to the company's files and say, inadvertently, wrong card was used. They bought groceries with the business credit card. That should be treated as a distribution or income to the owner of the company, right? You can do those sorts of things. But being diligent with the company's bank accounts is the most important thing you can do. Second most important thing to do, corporations, shareholder meetings, right? You got to have shareholder meetings. Shareholder meeting to elect the board. The board then has to have meetings to identify the company's strategy. If you're taking steps, taking actions, and they're not recorded in board meeting minutes, then it may appear that you were not exercise something called business judgment. You weren't acting in the best interest of the company. You were just doing something willy-nilly. You were going and making decisions based on a personal choice. That means those decisions can be held against you. And especially if you have an investor, right, you better be able to justify all the decisions you're making. They are well reasoned. There's meeting minutes for it. And those are things that would be, if there is litigation, those are things that would be reviewed. If you don't do those kinds of things, we could wind up with personal liability. You could wind up with veil piercing, where they hold the company is liable, but then they attempt to impose it on the board members or the CEO or someone else. So you want to make sure that you are holding meetings and that you know what's in the bylaws, that if there are meetings that are required, you're actually holding them, you're following the notice requirements for shareholders or board members or so on and so forth, so that you are ticking all of the boxes. LLCs much more flexible in this regard, but with corporations, you got to dot every I and cross every T. We can make it easy for you, though. There are, in the compliance package, there are documents for shareholder meetings. There are documents for board meetings. There are documents for appointing a board member, removing a board member, removing an officer, all these other different things. And so we give you a way to easily create those documents, but then you need to maintain them, right? So you have the corporate record book. Used to be a big book. You got, stamps, whatever else. Not really necessary to do that, but you have to have some place where the corporate records are maintained, and it should include, those meeting minutes, the bylaws, the articles of incorporation, stock certificates, major decisions that are being made, other things that will affect the company. So courts or people who are suing the company would look to those documents to ensure that you are respecting the business entity. Final, think about liability and tax liability, right? Tax liability is a big one. You have to make sure that you are meeting all of the tax reporting and withholding and filing requirements. If a corporation is going to have a profit, it needs to make quarterly tax payments. Okay, you can't wait until the tax return is filed in April. You need to make quarterly tax payments to the IRS in the name of the corporation. Sometimes you don't know, sometimes you don't start it out, there's not a lot of profit, but you need to be evaluating on that quarterly basis, making those payments. If you have employees, your employment taxes, the withholding of employment taxes, any of those things, there could be state-specific requirements as well. And with a corporation, highly recommend you've got a professional on your side who's assisting you with meeting all of those requirements. Journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, and the compliance requirements after you form the company, you got to have your first meeting, right? You got to make sure the board members are appointed by the shareholders or voted on by the shareholders, all these additional things you need to do. But I want you to know, and I want you to think about after watching this, hopefully it's sunk in, think about, do you actually need a corporation, or is there another way to do this? And sometimes I have seen those investors you go and talk to say, what are you okay with this being an LLC with a C Corp tax selection? They say, yeah, we don't care, right? We may have some concerns or things we want to do, different share classes or preferred shares, or a different voting, non-voting, or we may want to manage position in the company, but it may be possible to get those investors on board without even forming a corporation. I like to let the money drive the bus, right? Tell me what I need to do, and then especially in the early rounds, let them guide you so that you can start out with a very good relationship. So I hope you found this valuable, and if you have, I'd like you to go down, hit the like button, and subscribe for more. If you do want to speak with our team, you can call. Right, the business success team is there to help you, and I always recommend you start there, and then they will tell you if they think you need to speak with an attorney, and we do have attorneys who can definitely assist you with determining whether a corporation's right for you, how you should progress, and what the best route is going to be for you in your particular situation. I'm Jonathan Feniak. I am an attorney, and I'm the lead attorney for LLCattorney.com, and I really want to help you protect everything that you're going to build with your new company and protect everything you're bringing to the table to start that new company.